Shalom from Jerusalem, and the period of time in which we are right now, it's called Sfirat Omer, it's counting the Omer, which is counting 49 days from the holiday of Pesach to the holiday of Shavuot, of receiving of the Torah, and this is a 49 steps in changing ourselves, purifying ourselves, and now is the second week, and the second week is the week of Gvura. Gvura calls the powers. Our viewers remember that the first week was a week of Chesed. The whole week is the energy of kindness, and God created the world with kindness. But in order for kindness to exist, we needed the Gvura, which is proper borders, and not just a power, but it's a power to withhold the infinite energy, because otherwise the infinity with infinite energy can only create infinity. So in order for us to exist, in order for us to experience joy, in order for us to be ourselves and be unique beings, there had to be millions and millions of borders, from the borders of the molecules and atoms, very, very proper borders, to the borders of how much of every creature, how much it will receive nourishment, how much energy it will receive for its existence, not more and not less. And that's what the whole concepts of Gvura is really about. It's include in itself the concept of Din with the concept of judgment. And so what is the Chesed Shebe Gvura? It means that all this judgment, all this power, all these borders have to work for Chesed. Otherwise, it could be mafia, or it could be terrorists, or it could be dictatorship, and we understand that we really don't consider it's maybe a powerful structures, but it's not the kind of power that we're talking about, because it's a self-serving power. It's power that doesn't serve the chesed, the kindness. And talking about dictatorship, it's of course inside of us. We're talking about our egotism. It's a part in us that only exists on separation from the source. It exists on fear, and therefore it's like we're grabbing instead of receiving. You know, that's the not proper Gvura within us. And the Torah tells us that, you know, who is strong, the one who can control his desires, and that's real strength. Now, when we talk about emotional blocks, emotional defenses, if you wish, a lot of those defenses, they start in the childhood, and maybe it was necessary for us to have these defenses then, and they serve some purpose then, but a lot of times when they become outdated, those defenses start working only for themselves. They're not working for us anymore. And that's again what they call pigam, the problem with the Gvura in the Chesed. It's not working for soul, it's not working for our essence. What does it mean with the person doing it right? Don't judge person, don't judge his essence, because remember, his essence is soul, and God creates every soul, very good, very great. You can only judge a person's deeds or his character traits, but again, let person know that, you know, your criticism is a positive criticism. Now, Gevura Shebe Gevura means that we have to judge our judgmental part. Well, first of all, we have to ask ourselves a question, and by the way, these lectures are based on Rabbi Weinberg's classes. It's a nephew of Rav Weinberg, Zal, Rosh Hashiva. And he asks a question, you know, is that my time to judge? Is it my place to judge? So before we even start judging, you know, we have to judge the judge. Is that right for us to judge? Secondly, it's very important, again, to ask a question, where's this judgment coming from? Is the judgmental part, is it a true judge who is judging according to the standards of God, or this is my Yetzer Hara, my evil inclination is judging? So any part that is cynical or bitter or angry or coming from a dark places, 10 places, this is, you realize this is a crooked judge, this is not a real judge. So we have to really learn to discern the parts that judging ourselves and judging other people, and that's the day, the whole energy of the Gvura Shebe Gvura and Tiferet Remember, Tiferet we talk about is the ability in the prat, in one part of creation, to feel the harmony of the entire cloud. It says that the true judge is a partner of God in creation of the world. That's how important it is. So when we're talking about, for example, the Ten Commandments, do not envy, and it says that if a person envies, that he breaks all the Ten Commandments. Why? Because he says there's really no judge, there's no justice, and by chance something had to be really mine, and by chance it's not mine, it's somebody else. So you see, in this one little feeling of jealousy is really the judgmentalness of the entire creation. It's a wrong judgment of the entire creation. That's why our sages said that the person who feels jealousy, he really, destroys all the Ten Commandments, not recognizing God, not recognizing in the world, and therefore the commandment themselves. So it's interesting. It brings us the story of King Shlomo, that everybody knows the story. Judged two women, and one said, "This child is mine," and another says, "The child is hers." And so King Shlomo just take one look, and he says, "Okay, divide the child in two, give two parts." And the mother screamed and said, "No, let the child live." Another woman says, "Okay, divide." Now, let me ask you a question. Out of millions of people, how many women would have said divide, meaning kill the child, give her half, give me half? I mean, it's impossible. So what would happen in a totally normal circumstances? That two women would have said, don't kill the child, give it to another woman. The king would be nowhere, and what kind of judgment is it? So our sages tell us that King Solomon, with one glance, immediately saw that one woman is a mother, another woman is crazy. And she's so crazy that she's willing to kill the child if she's not going to get it. He says, now I see the whole picture. Now I'm going to devise a test to show it to everybody. So what he did, on the spot, he devised a test so everybody realizes this is a mother and this woman is crazy. And when the people heard that, and King Shlomo was at that time 13 years old, and they realized that he can just with one glance judge the situation. People got scared because they realized what kind of king they had in Israel. Now that's, again, Tiferet Shebegevura, ability in a little detail, see the harmony of the entire creation. Netzach Shebegevura is that, you see, the Gevura, the power, the judgment, should really guard the moral values. And we talk about that Netzach, it talks about uniqueness of the moment. Things become finite and therefore unique, and every moment is unique, and it changes the entire creation forever. So realize that Olam Haba, the world to come, it comes from very many little details. And importance of this, every detail in the judgment, what is it I need to do this time? What did I need to do in this moment? This is what creates the life, and that's what creates the world, and this creates the world to come for us. Multiple unique details. In Torah, there's many capital punishments that never can be administrated. So what does the sages tell us? Is it saying it's better to die and not to do those kind of things? So it's really moral judgment, and how important the institute of marriage, for example, is. And it's not the laws that can ever be administered in this world, like killing the adulterous wife and so on, but it's just defending the importance of the institute of marriage, for example. Chod, it creates from judgment into rehabilitation, bringing the best out of person, and that's what the real judgment is all about. Isod is talking about, the judge should really be blind to his own interest, and the Torah goes and tells us that, and it talk about us also, that, if Yetzer Hara is trying to give us a bribe, our evil inclination try to bribe us, and we become partial, we're not impartial anymore, we become very poor judges, and therefore we have to really see that we are judging according to God's standards, and we're becoming, as I said, partner with creation, and feeling God as we're judging ourselves and others. And Malchus talks about the details, that when you judge, all the details have to be in continuity. He was always ourselves, Ask yourself, do I have all the details? Do I have all the picture in order to judge? And ask more and more questions. Ask carefully before you do it. So, great week. Shalom, shalom.